director of what we call MR Services. And I interviewed with Dan at the Texas office in downtown Fort Worth. But my second interview was at an Italian restaurant where Dan just went in and said, "Hello, Charlie," the owner, and food just started appearing. I didn't get a menu. Nobody said, "What do you want?" There was just this ton of food, and that process still continues today. And so anytime you get an opportunity to eat with Dan, take that. Do it. And he still wears that pouch. I don't know what's in it today. Maybe y'all remember there was a chewing gum phase with chewing gum in that pouch. I remember the chewing tobacco phase. Ooh, that was a minute ago. So, Dan was the COO when I came to Texas. And my work was primarily with people with disabilities. And Dan, Texas, even at that time, was very invested in reentry work. And even though he, like me, his background had also been in advocating for people with disabilities, he had taken up the banner for the reentry work. And here's what I learned from Dan is when we went into the halfway houses, he listened to people's stories. You could tell he connected with them. He taught me the same thing my mother had taught me. Everybody has a story, and everybody should be heard. So when he goes to advocate for folks in our programs, he's telling their perspective. He's bringing the value of those relationships. And it's the relationships that we have with the people we support that separates us from other nonprofits. And that's what I learned from Dan. And it started me on a career path that has been the biggest blessing in my life that I could imagine professionally. So thank you for that Italian meal, and thank you for the example you've been. You know, every time I've called you in almost 40 years, he's always greeted me like, "Hey, how's it going?" No matter what I was calling to say. And mostly we agreed on everything. So we were mad at the same things and happy about the same things. And today I'm really glad to recognize the incredible work you've done for the folks that unfortunately are still considered the least of these by many of our peers around the country. So you're very deserving of this award, and thank you for everything you've done, Nate.
I love Miss Angela King. She has been a light in my life for countless years. We have been friends and will remain friends to the very end. Thank you. That was really something special, Angela. Appreciate it. Just in case you don't know, I'm Dan Lombardo from the Delaware Valley, where our motto is "Food is Love." So, if you do come, you're always welcome. If you want to see anything that we do, please feel free to do so, because we will feed you like you've never been fed before, especially if you like Italian. On behalf of the Delaware Valley staff and those we serve, I want to thank Mike, June, Barbara, and Margaret for prodding me to accept this year's Mud Booth Correctional Services Award. Not only is this award emblematic of this organization's legacy in corrections, but it has been an exemplar recognizing those in the field who have made a difference and those who are committed to changing the lives, circumstances, and the futures of the men and women who can return to society and the community as contributing members of that society. 94% of those who are incarcerated today will return to their communities. Historically, the Maud Booth Award was given to individuals who have shown us so many better ways to meet the needs of those who are involved with the criminal justice system. At times, I've always wished I could have met Maud Booth. They say, as you know, back in the day, she must have been a force to reckon. She was the first woman ever to go to Sing Sing prison. She spent years corresponding with individuals who were incarcerated. She provided them spiritual guidance and hope. She aggressively lobbied against striped prison uniforms, the ball and chain, lack of health care and education in the prison systems. I have often wondered what it would be like if she were here today. I wonder how we would view the prisons of today. Would she focus on the treatment? Would she question why we have disparaged and imprisoned migrants coming to this country for a better life for their families? As you may know, one of the major flaws of the justice system is that people of color are continually overrepresented in prisons and jails. Today, again, or jails and prisons, we have a new boogeyman in our society. They're called migrants. Boogeymen of the 21st century are vilified as gangbangers and are portrayed as the scourge upon this society. In response, hundreds of millions of dollars are now being spent to round them up, ship them to third world gulags and to for-profit prisons. The ICE initiative is destroying families, which have included the incarceration of children and adolescents. The ignominy of this all is that we live in a country founded by indigenous people, expanded by generations of immigrants who came to follow a dream. This new millennium, we are incarcerating the greatest generation of immigrants to be part of what was once the great American dream. No longer do we extend the hand of spirit of, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. There's an irony here. The Booths were immigrants. Our history indicates that the first Maud Booth Award was given in 1981. If you look at the recipients, you'll see a remarkable collection of agents, change agents, advocates, leaders, beginning in the early 90s, progressing through what we have today. Recipients not only included commissioners or secretaries of corrections, but they also featured researchers, advocates, prison reformers, and those who were designing effective treatment strategies for those who were incarcerated. Maud Booth Award recipients have developed countless effective treatment strategies for corrections programs at halfway houses. As another point of inconsequential trivia, in 1896, Maud created the first series of halfway houses in the United States. They were called Hope Halls. In the Delaware Valley, we continue that tradition. We have our own Hope Hall. Research done by Maud Booth recipients show that folks coming back through halfway houses using evidence-based intervention strategies have significantly lower reoffense rates than those discharged directly from prisons to the street. Today, our national office leadership has done something very unique. This is the first time we are presenting the Maud Booth Award in front of the entire DOA family. Historically, we have given this award during the American Correctional Association Summer Congress. It's usually in some destination city that attracts more than 10,000, 15,000 recipients, participants. If you have ever attended, if you never have attended an ACA conference, I encourage you to do so. If you have never attended, the first thing you need to do is you need to go to the exhibit hall. Okay? You go to the exhibit hall and you will be amazed about what you see, because if the exhibit hall is the place that literally drives the corrections industrial complex. There you will find custody and control and dehumanization items of all types. There is, of course, concertina wire, electric fences, indestructible cells, restraint chairs, guns, lots of guns. They have other forms of armament, shields, batons, all kinds of electronic surveillance equipment, countless ways of detecting contraband, military-style training, and that's just to name the fun stuff. Here and there, you may find the VOA booth where you can go talk to Barbara, or maybe you'll see another social services provider, and you'll see them scattered among the vehicles in the armament. To me, what made the mod booth so poignant, in the middle of all of this display of jail and prison paraphernalia, there was once a mod booth breakfast and then a mod booth luncheon where we would recognize people in the social and behavioral scientists who designed risk needs assessment that's used to assess the individualized needs of people. It created research-based services addressing those unique, specific needs the individuals we serve have. You would see an award given to female researchers who finally were recognized for designing gender-specific program for women. Until about 25 years ago, women were treated just like men in the prison system. As a result, the Maud Booth Award became the antithesis of ACA and the antithesis of the exhibit hall, because the BOA affiliates and our halfway house colleagues across the country pushed and cajoled ACA to showcase evidence-based practice as a more effective approach to successfully return offenders. It was that impetus that began to change. The Maud Booth has recognized giants in the field who initiated institutional and systemic change. Their contributions have done incredible things like the Second Chance Act, the Prison Rape Elimination Act, enhanced talent research, countless presentations, and that helped ACA swing from the madness of the late 80s drug incarceration madness to what we have today. Regrettably, as society is now backsliding. Culturally, we are meaner, racially unjust, polarized, and insensitive to basic human needs. We have whole new populations to fill prison beds that were vacated after the work of our Maud Booth awardees. Now and again, there's really big money in incarceration. We are now disparaging whole groups of individuals and families. We are destroying programs and services that have saved countless lives and hundreds of thousands of productive members of society. It is my hunch that Maud would be working hard to stop the senseless demonization of the poor and huddled masses. Incarceration and deportation without due process is another disturbing, failing national policy, more punitive than the war on drugs. This madness has to end. My friends and colleagues, I accept this honor on behalf of our Delaware Valley clients and our passionately committed staff and professionals who have ingrained evidence-based practice in every service and program we offer. It is their commitment to service delivery excellence that not only continues the legacy of Maud Booth, but it also exemplifies our expectations for the future of this organization. The huddled masses need us more than ever.